Hello Internet, it's AndrewMycol and welcome to another AndrewMycol Podcast. This is episode 5 where today we are going to be talking about the latest controversy with the Fansubs and Toei relating to Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. This was a big news that came out a couple weeks ago, and I'm getting to this with today's podcast episode. If you do wind up enjoying today's episode, as always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to see this a day early, head over to patreon.com/AndrewMycol2 where you can see this podcast going out one day early before it is published on YouTube on Wednesday. So with that being said, let's get into today's episode. Today we are going to be talking about the fansub controversy and Toei basically sending cease and desist to some of the more popular fan sub services that post Super Sentai and Kamen Rider subs in English. So, if you did not see this topic, Overtime and TV-Nihon, which are pretty much the two biggest fan sub services, they do English subs for Super Sentai and Kamen Rider most notably, and basically they were both pretty much sent cease and desist that basically told them, if you don't stop posting English subs of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, then we are going to have to take legal matter, and nobody wants to get into that because then it would basically be two really small companies going up against a huge giant television corporation that is with Toei, and obviously no one wants to get in that kind of legal battle. And so then it sparked the controversy, especially on Twitter, because a lot of people were sad and not happy with what Toei was doing. However, the thing is that because it is Toei licensing and because it is their property with Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, I could see that even if they did go to court, I would see Toei winning. One, because they have a lot of money with their lawyers and with their legal team, and two, it's because they own Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, so even though the fan subs would be, oh well, this allows us to share, the episodes and allows more people to access these episodes, still, Toei would say yes, but it's still legally our content, and you're posting content without our consent. Now, the interesting thing is that I believe when Tokusatsu, I believe it was Tokushoutsu, they have their own YouTube channel. I believe the funniest thing ever was that Tokushoutsu, the YouTube channel mainly for Toei, they literally got the channel taken down and terminated, and it was their own content because of Toei's bots that go around looking for Super Sentai and Kamen Rider related episodes, basically trying to crack down on that. And I thought that was interesting, seeing how strict Toei is with their YouTube bots trying to take down content, and they had their own YouTube channel taken down. So then Toei realized, okay, fine, we'll ease off on the restrictions a little bit. And as we've been seeing Japanese versions, the original versions of Super Sentai and a little bit of Kamen Rider being posted, mostly Kamen Rider. We haven't seen a whole lot of Super Sentai being posted to the Tokushoutsu channel. I really wish they would post more of it, but it seems like they're leaning more towards Kamen Rider, Ultraman, other things that Toei are doing with their content, but nonetheless, now we see where, Overtime and TV-Nihon have been subbing a lot of the, especially Kikai Sentai's and Kaiju subs, and a lot of the Kamen Rider Saber subs, and with those being the two more prominent shows being put out there, Toei is like, oh, well, you know what, we're going to crack it down, because why not? So now the question is, well, what will we do with fan subs if Toei's just like, okay, if we catch anyone doing any fan subs, we're going to take it down. Kind of like how Nintendo is with their content. Like, if Nintendo even sees a fan game, or if it's like a really good game, like I remember it was Mario Royale, there was a guy who made this fan game, and it was basically, a 1 versus 100 kind of battle royale where you had to race to the end, and basically your actions basically could take out other players. It was such a novel concept. It was great, but then Nintendo found out about it and sent the dude a cease and desist, basically saying, if you don't stop doing this stuff, we are going to have to take it down. It was really sad that it happened, but it was still a fun game. But it goes to show that, a lot of corporations are very protective of their content, and they're not even allowing free use to be happening on YouTube and places like where people can make content about it, so more people can find out about Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. But the interesting thing about it is that it's interesting because you really can't only watch Super Sentai and Kamen Rider in Japan. Like, if you try to watch it outside of Japan, you would have to try and use a VPN to get into that more, if you would still have to find a way to get in. But nonetheless, here's my official take on the Fansubs. I think they're really cool because if you're inside, or if you're outside of Japan, if you're outside of Japan, it's really hard as it is to try and find ways to watch Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. And so these Fansubs allow us to watch these things without having to pay an over-the-top subscription service to watch these. I was talking about this with my viewers yesterday because I was live streaming, and I mentioned that I wanted to do stuff with the podcast, and I talked about it with the viewers. And mainly the biggest thing I saw was from Cool Ghost, another viewer of mine. Basically, they were talking about how of course it's piracy because it's like piracy, of course, is bad because you're stealing content. But if you're making money off of it, it's different. But if you're using the content to show more people about the shows that you watch, and you basically English sub over it so that more people who don't speak Japanese can watch these episodes, then it makes it more accessible and more people can find out about Super Sentai and Kamen Rider Saber. But instead, if Toei's cracking down on it and you're not able to watch these fan subs, then less people are going to be interested in watching Super Sentai and Kamen Rider Saber, and effectively Super Sentai and Kamen Rider is just going to go down and down and down, and more people are not going to be able to watch it. And it's just like, it's a loss for Sentai if they lose the fan sub service, but it's not really a win for Toei, because if Toei wants to stick around and if they want to sell toys for Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, they really need to say, okay, fine, you want to do fan subs, we'll let you do it. But if you make money off of these, then we're going to have a problem off of it. And obviously with fan subs, you can't really make money off of it, because if you try to make money off of it, then that really causes an issue, and that's not really free to use. But if you use it, like if you're talking about the shows, like if you're talking over the content that you are watching, then it stays up. It's the same way with YouTube and corporations like UMG and all of that. If you're trying to react to stuff, like if you're a reaction channel, you really got to be careful with what you react to, because some reaction videos, even videos you would use in a regular subscription service or in a regular YouTube video, even if you make no money off of those videos, if you try to react to that stuff, then YouTube would basically try to go around doing that, because corporations are just so overly protective of what they do. And it's sad, because it's like, you would think that, if you're trying to do reactions, if you're trying to make news videos, if you're trying to use pictures, if you're just sitting there just talking about stuff and you're not using pictures or videos for that matter, then it doesn't increase the entertainment value in videos. And overall, it's just like, people that are new to stuff, they want to see at the very least pictures of what's going on. That way they can have a general idea of what's going on. For instance, last year, or I think it was 2019, when I started covering Power Rangers again with the episode reviews and with the news episodes and with the talking about the toys and whatnot, and with me going to Comic-Con, I could have sat there and just talked for 10-15 minutes, no pictures or anything, but nobody would have an idea what the heck is going on. But with the visual aids like pictures, videos, and kind of B-roll footage of stuff like that, then it would keep people watching. And the big thing with YouTube today is watch time. And if you want people to keep watching, then you got to use content like B-roll or stuff with pictures and all of that stuff, because it's what keeps people interested. You're allowing the viewer to get somewhat of idea of what's going on using visual aids like that. But the thing is, without the fan subs, even someone that's watching would have no clue of what's going on unless you knew Japanese. But if you're in America, there's a small population of people that would know Japanese. But regardless of that, still, if you're not in Japan, it makes it even harder to try and watch the shows at the very least, because you would have to do a ton of searching trying to find these episodes. And if you're an aspiring YouTuber looking to talk about stuff from shows, like shows on Netflix, like example, if you were going to become a Star Wars YouTuber and you wanted to go look at Star Wars Mandalorian, you would want to use a little bit of B-roll footage. You would want to use a bunch of pictures like that, because with being a content creator and with sharing the shows with people that have not watched this show before, you need visual aids to keep people watching. But imagine if Disney were like, okay, we're going to restrict Disney Plus to just America, and no one in the UK, no one in Germany would be able to understand what's going on if you translated it to a different language. It's just like if Disney Plus were to like move it to a place like let's say if they moved it to China, and only the people in China would have access to Disney Plus, and you would have to go about some underground means being able to watch Zenkaiger, being able to watch Mandalorian, being able to try to find WandaVision if it were just in Chinese. And without the fan sub services, you really wouldn't have an idea of what people were talking about. You wouldn't have an idea about the dialogue. You would kind of understand the actions, but in terms of the dialogue, you really wouldn't have an idea of what's going on. But because of these fan services with the fan subs and all that, not only are you able to watch this stuff, but you're able to understand what the people are talking about in your native language. And so overall, I think it's an interesting situation. And the person that mentioned this, Orville, by the way, I am shouting him out because he was the one that mentioned this. So go check out Orville. If you have not, he's also a fellow Power Ranger / Super Sentai content creator. He focuses more on the toys and sometimes with the shows. So if you would, please go check out Orville. He is an awesome Power Ranger content creator. But also, getting back to the point, if you were to take away the fan services with fan subs, and if you were to crack down on YouTubers that did Super Sentai and Kamen related toys, then it would be like, what is the point of that if all they're doing, they're not making any money off the videos? If they're using it by fair use, by commenting and talking over this stuff, then really it's not them stealing content. It's more they're using the content as a means of explaining what's going on for educational / entertainment purposes, where they're reacting to stuff, they're talking about stuff. That's what really drives views on YouTube most of the time, is reaction videos and reactionary content where you're talking about the news and you're getting someone's first glimpse and someone's first reactions to a hot topic issue. But again, if Toei's cracking down even on their own YouTube channel, then it just makes it to where it's like, do you like Toei because they're putting Super Sentai Kamen Rider, or do you not like them because they're being almost policing everything, but not even policing at this point? It would just be a full-on, you can't talk or use any of our content at all, or else we give you a claim. And it's just one of those silly things that goes on, and it's an interesting situation. But nonetheless, if Overtime and TV-Nihon do stop making their own fan services, they'd have to make more, underground places where newer fan sub services would just keep being created. Because the thing is that the fan subbing thing isn't gonna go away. Like, Toei can keep taking down these fan sub services, but it's not gonna stop them. Obviously, it's not going to stop them. If anything, more services will open up. More people will make different websites, and they will keep making fan sub services, because basically what Toei's trying to do is they're trying to silence the problem, but they're not really fixing the problem. And so if you just silence a problem, the problem is never going to get solved. It's just going to keep coming back. That's what we learned yesterday when I was at church. I know I'm not really super preachy about this, but if you have a problem and you just try to put tape over it, not really fixing the main issue, the problem will come back, and in some cases it could be worse. But if you actually come up with a solution that does fix the problem in a reasonable manner, then these problems like this wouldn't have to do this. And it is just an interesting situation. What do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time, I'm AndrewMycol, and I will see you in the next one. Go, go, Super Sentai.